How are you, gentlemen? Live from the cave. I promised you guys I'd have some skill-based videos, and today I have a topic that I think will help you out with your shoot 'em up practicing any game really. I'm sure. Um, so if you have been following me for a little bit, you might know that in my practice sessions I have this concept of main games versus alternate games. I play my main game for a week, and then I play any other shmup that I want the next week, and then I play my main game Mushi Futari for a week, and then any other alternate game that I want, any other alternate shmup that I want for a week. So I'm taking my main game, alternate game, main game, alternate game, and I'm kind of like sandwiching in them. So the reason I originally started doing it that way was because I decided to do a year of getting better at shoot 'em ups, and I felt like if I only played my main game, like if I only played Mushihime Sama Futari every week, 6 days a week, I felt like I would burn myself out, and I would just kind of get bored and quit because I do like playing other games. I like a fresh game now and again. So it was more like a variety type of thing. Like when you're playing your main game, you get to look forward to the next week playing something fresh. But as I started doing this and I practiced like this, I realized that sorry, I realized that it had another side benefit, and the side benefit of it was that if you're just doing your main game, like if you're just practicing your main game, that's all well and good, and you'll probably get a lot of skill at that game, and you'll get deep into it. But no game, like no shmup is like the ultimate. Like no game has everything, because you kind of have to pick and choose. Like a bullet hell is focused more on dodging, like lots of micro dodging, whereas like a really old shmup is more about lining up your shots and being precise. And so, I started thinking of it like, okay, like my main game, I want to get some deep learning. My alternate games, I want to use to get like a wide variety of skills from a wide variety of places that will kind of like just beef up my stat sheet. Like if you imagine those little, you got your little Pokemon guide, and it's got that little, I don't know, like spider web shaped thing, and it's got like some like angles, like your attack is off the chain, but then your speed is some crappy little triangle. So you want to like get your main game on point, but then kind of shore up the rest of your skills to build out your skill set and make sure that you're able to gain a wide variety of skills and beat a wide variety of games, and all those other games are feeding into your main game as well. But recently I got this book, Make It Stick. I didn't think this was going to be anything particularly special, anything particularly amazing. I read a lot of books on learning books, self-help books on how to practice. I think a lot of them, when you read so much of them, you kind of, everything starts to feel like, okay, yeah, I know that. And, or a lot of the time I'll feel like that didn't give me anything practical. But this book, it like laid itself out in like the first 10 pages. It was like, here's what we're going to talk about. I was already getting ideas like, oh, this is why this works, and this is how I might better do this, and I got to like think deeply on it. But I think it added to my knowledge like another reason why this main game versus alternate game system has been working out so well for me for practice, and why it might work out well for you. It introduced to me the concept of interleaving. So basically, what interleaving is you just, the thing you're practicing, you leave it alone for a little bit, right? Interleaving. So you kind of like weave one thing and then the next thing and then the one thing and then the next thing, and you give some space to each one. And by doing that, basically what you're doing is you're allowing your memory to get a little bit fuzzy. Like, kind of like the way I think of it is you're just letting a little bit of snow fall down. Snow falls down, it's covering up the path just a little bit. So now the path is like a little bit unclear. You're coming back to your game after a week away. You're not fully routed in. You're not like stuck in that one route. But also what they're saying is that, like, because your memory is a bit fuzzy, like if you keep drilling that same game, the same stage in the same way, you're kind of just following a pattern, and maybe your mind isn't totally in it because you're sort of getting like a little bit of muscle memory. But the way they say it, they've got credentials. I don't. They've got credentials. The way they say it is that basically your learning gets fuzzy, like your route gets fuzzy, your knowledge gets fuzzy. And so the next time you come at it, your mind has to work harder to bring it back up. And it's kind of that like working harder to recall it that's imprinting it even deeper and making sure that the memory sticks, the learning sticks, and the practice sticks. So if you just like let it alone a little bit, I definitely believe in like consistent practice. But I personally, from my experience, I think that this is correct, that learning this chunk of skills in your main game and then switching over to another chunk of skills in another game and then coming back to refresh your memory, I think it can get that little bit of snow. Maybe you kind of broke out of your route a little bit. And because you know how sometimes you'll be like, okay, I'm playing this way, but is this really 100% the best way to go about it? But it's kind of like you're stuck in it, and if you try and break out of it, you're kind of just playing games. But if you let it get a little bit hazy and you come back to it, you might a little bit more naturally shore up that route, find a different way to go, find a different way to approach the oncoming enemies. And then again, the act of effortful recall, really having to kind of dredge it up a little bit. It's like, if you're studying for a test and you're kind of just rereading the notes and they're in front of you and it's easy and you like memorized it kind of in exactly the way that they said it, but then you get it on a test and it gets put a different way and all of a sudden you're sort of spun. But if instead of that, you kind of let it go for a bit, and instead of rushing back to your notes and looking it up, you just say like, okay, like what was the concept? Like if I had to define it without getting help, what would I say? What would I do? What would be the best way to go about it? So yeah, a little bit long-winded on my part. Could have been shortened. Lo-fi. It's cool. Interleaving. Main game, alternate games. Switch them up. And from my personal experience, I believe it will make all the difference. And this is an aside, but for like the first time in God knows how many years, I rewatched the All Your Base meme. Okay, I just thought, yeah, might as well rewatch it, and I was like astonished at what a slice of humanity it is, how well it's held up. Just like watching it, I was like, wow, this is taking you back to a segment of human history, and it's like watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. You're like, oh, this is what humanity is. Nice, I understand them completely. All right, guys, take care. Much love. Try it out. Peace.